Mind cannot believe anything beyond its perception. There are five organs of perceptions: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Mind is the sixth organ of perception as well. Eyes can see that which cannot, eyes cannot see that is beyond its perception. It is like a camera which has a certain capabilities. Beyond that, the image becomes blurred. And the ordinary, your smartphone camera cannot take the image of the stars or planets. So you need to see the galaxy, a different quality of camera. But here, in case of eyes, eyes do not change. Its perception changes. Your eyes are beclouded by so many things. Suppose you are using glasses and all of a sudden you realize that something that you are seeing is slightly blurred. So you clean your lens of the glasses. So a spiritual process is cleaning the instruments of perception, cleaning your glasses, the eyes of the unnecessary things. You are accustomed listening to things which should not be listened. Start seeing that which should not be seen, hearing that which cannot be heard. So you have to go beyond organs of perception, beyond grasping, and beyond not being. So the moment you do that, mind will say there is nothing. That is nothing. Nothing exists. There is. Do not believe in anything that mind says. Mind cannot accept anything that is beyond its perception unless the perception changes. When perception changes, mind dissolves. It is an instrument which works because of the perception. If the information going to the mind from the eyes, ears, nostrils, tongue and skin does not go, so there is nothing for the mind to process. It will lose its job. So it can be said in the modern terminology that the business is slow. So mind has to relieve certain persons who had been doing the work there. Beyond perception, beyond grasping, beyond non-being, the mind says that there nothing exists, this cannot exist. So do not believe the mind. There is something which is beyond perception, beyond non-being, which exists and which cannot be perceived and also which is not graspable in any way. That is your reality. That is what you are. You cannot perceive yourself. When you look at the mirror, you see your reflection, but you do not see your innerness, do not see the self. Can you imagine a situation in which you can encounter yourself, in which you can see your real face? What you see, the face in the mirror, is nothing else. It's not a real face. That's why the Zen master says, have you known your real face? Real face is that which exists before you was born, which exists when you are living, and which will exist even when you are no more physically alive. You can go on using the word self-knowledge, which is absolutely absurd because you cannot know the self. Why you cannot know the self? Because self is the knower. It cannot be reduced to be known. There are three things: the knower, the known, and that happens between knower and the known, the object and the subject. The role of the subject is to perceive, is to think, is to know that which is to be known. Just as the known cannot know itself, a camera cannot know itself, but you can know that this is camera. But you cannot know yourself. It cannot be reduced. The known cannot be reduced to an object. It cannot be in any way. For example, if you think that you can know the self, then the self and that you know will not be yourself. But the one that knows the self cannot be the self. You always remain the knower. You cannot become the known. You cannot put yourself in front of you. Can you put yourself in front of you? You will always recede back. You will remain in the background. Whatsoever you know cannot be yourself, innerness. This means you cannot know it, you cannot know the way you know the other things. Now first you have to know, the knower cannot know the knower. Knower can only know that which is to be known. But then how the spiritual process goes, first you have to understand the ears cannot hear that which cannot be heard. You cannot know it. You cannot know it the way. Now, first thing, you cannot know it. Then the second clause comes in, you cannot know it the way you know other things. You know a particular object in a certain way. You know its qualities, you know everything. So your eyes open in the outer world, you can know that which is to be known. But that which cannot be known, the way to know that is totally different. You cannot know it the way you know other things. The way you see the sun, the moon, the objects in your surroundings, you cannot see yourself that way, because you is the one who is seeing the things around you. I cannot see myself the way I see you. Who will see? Because every relationship of the knowledge, seeing, perception means that there are at least two things, the known and the knower. So you are there, I am there, I can see you, I can hear you. But if I am alone all by myself, how can I know me, know myself? How can I hear myself? Who will, who is there to see? Because every relationship of knowledge is a relationship between the knower and known. What is knowledge? A relationship between the knower and the known. So what happens between you and your laptop is knowledge. You gain knowledge through that method. And knowing is a different thing. So because every relationship of knowledge, seeing, perception, means that there are at least two things, the known and the knower. Self-knowledge is not possible in that sense because there is only one. There is only the knower, then knower and the known are one. In the process of transformation, the duality of the knower and the known disappears. There are two things, knower and the known, and what happens between these two is the entire field of the outer world. When there is the knower and the known have become one, the observer and the observed are one, you cannot convert yourself to an object in any way. So the word self-knowledge is just wrong. But it connotes something. It says something which is true. You cannot know yourself the way you know the different senses, different things, in an altogether different sense than from how you know other things. When there is nothing to be known, when all objects have disappeared, nothing to be known, nothing to be heard, nothing to be seen, all objects of perception have disappeared, when all that can be perceived and grasped is no more, when you have discarded all, suddenly you become aware of yourself. As long as you are aware of the others, you cannot become aware of yourself. And this awareness is not dual. There is no object and no subject. Knowledge requires an object and a subject. The relationship between object and the subject is known as knowledge. When the object and the subject have dissolved into one another, there is simply subjectivity, that which is. This awareness is a different type of knowing. There is not knowing, although you can call it knowing, it is knowing, but it is not knowledge. And this knowing is awareness. Awareness gives you a different dimension of existence. You are not divided in two. You are always aware of yourself. You are not perceiving. You cannot grasp it. And yet it is existential, the most existential. Try to think it this way. We have energy. That energy goes on moving to the objects. Energy cannot remain static. Remember it as one of the ultimate laws. Energy cannot remain static, it is dynamic. It cannot be otherwise. Dynamism is very nature of energy. Energy moves. When I see you, my energy moves towards you. How does a camera lens grabs or captures the image. In a particular moment, when you click the camera, the aperture of the camera opens. The light from there goes to the object and captures the objects, and the object is captured in the camera. When I see you, my energy moves towards you. When I perceive you, a circle is made, my energy moves to you, then it comes back to me, a circle is completed, an object is formed. If my energy moves to you but does not come back, I will not know you. The circle is needed for knowing. The light goes to the object and it returns back to the camera to be captured. A circle is needed. The energy must go and come back to me. With its coming back, it brings you to me. It brings the object into me, into my camera, into the camera of my eyes. And the moment it comes in, my eyes capture it and save it. I know you. This is knowledge. I know you. Knowledge means the energy has completed this circle. It has moved from the subject to the object, and then it has moved again back from the object to the subject, and the circuit is completed. My eyes, the aperture of my eyes open. It reaches, the energy reaches through that aperture to you, and then comes back. A circle is completed for the movement of the energy, and the moment it comes in, my aperture closes and an image is formed. This is knowledge. It has moved from the subject to the object and then moved from object to the subject back to the original source. If I go on living in this way, making circles with others, I will never know myself, because my energy is filled with the energy of the others. It brings those images, because how the image comes in? Because your energy has come in. It is through the analog, my world goes, the analog records my words, and through the medium of analog, it moves towards you, reaches your the system, and then the voice, when it is recorded, it is analog system, but it cannot travel in that form, and to travel it has to be digital format, and then in that format it travels to you, to your system, and your system converts it back to the analog, and then you can hear what I am saying. Same thing is about the image. And if I go on making my energy to reach from one object to the other, capture that image, then move to another object, capture that image, then I go on gathering knowledge of others. It brings those images, it delivers those images to me. This is what you call knowledge. This technique says to allow the process of meditation. The technique says that you allow the objects to disappear from there. If there is no one in front of me, then my energies will go and come back without any object, because the objects have disappeared. Allow your energy to move in a vacuum, in emptiness. It goes from you, but there is no object to be grasped by it, not object to be perceived by it. It moves and comes back to you through emptiness. There is no object. It brings no knowledge with it to you. It returns empty-handed, vacant, pure. It brings nothing with it. It brings only itself. It goes and comes back. It comes virgin. Nothing has entered into it. It remains pure. This is the whole process of meditation. This is the whole process of meditation, not what you consider as meditation. Enough for now.